I have recently come to the conclusion that I no longer know how to be still. I constantly have a running to-do list of things that I need to get done. I am constantly thinking over everything in my head. I'm always listening to a podcast, an audiobook, music, watching a TV show, trying to keep up, and it is leaving me so exhausted. I've been reflecting a lot on how I used to be as a child before social media really entered the world the way that it has obviously now, and I'm so grateful for the time that I grew up because I wasn't constantly getting all of these different dopamine hits, these very cheap dopamine hits, because if I did grow up with that, I think that my life would be completely different. And so I do feel for kids these days who are growing up surrounded by all of this, but it made me realize that I really need to take a different approach to life. When I think about boredom, I think back to my childhood self, and I was honestly never really a bored kid because I always found ways to entertain myself. Even if my sister wasn't around or I didn't want to play with her, I would do different creative things. I loved to read, I loved to write. I would write poems and plays and novels. And I also loved to paint and draw, and I was not good at it, but it didn't really matter. And I even tried to teach myself how to sew, and I would make clothes for my dolls, and I would do different science experiments. I was just constantly creating. And when I think about boredom now, I'm also never really bored. I just scroll on my phone and watch a bunch of TikToks, or I put on the latest reality show that everyone's talking about, or I listen to one of the many podcasts that I save, and I'm just constantly filling my ears with other people's opinions and other people's creations, and that doesn't leave very much time for me to create on my own. And I found that overall, I think this is really messing with my creativity. I feel like I don't allow myself to be as creative as I once was because I'm not letting myself just sit in silence and letting my thoughts in and actually sitting with them. So for this week's vlog, I am really trying to practice boredom. I'm trying to allow myself to sit in silence a little bit more, to let my thoughts come in and really embrace them as they come, not shy away from them, not constantly fill the void with other people's thoughts and opinions, and see where that takes me. Today is Sunday, and right now I am about to go sit in the park for a little bit just to get some sunshine in. I can't believe we're already halfway through August, so I really want to take in these last few days of the summer whenever I can, and it's such a gorgeous day out. So I'm gonna sit in the park on a blanket. I'm bringing a book with me, but I'm going to read for a little bit, and then when I'm not reading, I'm not going to be scrolling on my phone. I am not going to be playing any music. I'm just going to sit and enjoy the nature around me. So let's see how that goes. It is a new day, and I thought that I would just come on here and chat about how I'm feeling about this whole embracing boredom thing because I haven't updated you guys in a while. First things first, I just got back from a 5-mile run where I forgot to bring my headphones with me. So that was like the ultimate test of like not overstimulating my brain and just focusing on the actual thing that I was doing. And it was a really tough thing because it was a speed workout. I was on the track and I didn't have the music to distract me, and I was just alone with my thoughts for an hour doing that run. I'm not gonna lie, the first like 5 to 10 minutes were really tough, and I kept asking myself, what am I gonna do for the next hour without my headphones? And I kept wanting to just like give up and not do the run. And then I made it past the like 1 mile mark and got to the track where I was doing my workout, and I was so focused and paying attention to my breath and how I was feeling that I like quickly forgot that I didn't even have headphones. Like it didn't even cross my mind anymore. And it got me thinking of the idea of a flow state, which I think is so fascinating, and I think everyone needs to find a way to experience it as often as possible. And it's basically just this like state that you get into with your mind where everything else fades away and you lose track of time, and you're so focused and dedicated on what you're working on because you enjoy it so much that everything else falls away. I honestly don't experience it that often anymore. I feel like I used to a lot when I was younger, and I had so many fun different hobbies and I had so many passions and interests, and I was constantly doing something creative. And now my flow state doesn't happen because it's constantly interrupted by my phone or by whatever distraction there is around me. And this was probably the closest that I've come to that in a really long time. I do experience it a little bit from time to time when I'm writing, but again, like when I'm on my laptop, I get distracted so easily and I'll go onto a different website or like go start shopping or check Facebook or whatever it is. And I do that a lot with my phone too, and it's really hard to just stay focused for so long. So that's what the ultimate goal is to fix my attention span so that I can go longer periods of time without checking my phone. Anyway, I need to eat something because I am starving after that run, so I'm gonna go make my dinner now. I don't know if I'm gonna do it in silence today because I have a couple of podcasts that I want to catch up on, so I might do that, but it's a work in progress. I've seen a few TikToks recently of people hanging up their phone, and I loved that idea. So in the last clip that you just saw, I hung up a little pouch on my wall where I'm gonna put my phone into anytime that I'm trying to really concentrate and get a lot of work done, and I don't want to be picking up my phone every single hour or every like 10 to 15 minutes, which is what I typically do. And I want to try it out, see how I like it. I think it's a great concept. I've also been seeing a lot of people getting a brick, which essentially turns your phone into a dumb phone. It's like a little device that once you tap it, it turns off access to all of your apps, the ones that you choose to block, and they only unlock when you re-tap it. So like if you leave your house, you can tap it before you go, and then when you're out, you won't be able to access those apps until you come back home and physically tap your phone to the brick again. I really like that concept. I think it's a great idea, but I don't think it's a solution. I feel like it's a band-aid to the solution, and I don't want to have to pay for something to break this habit of mine. I'm like just against it personally because I feel like I should be strong enough to break this addiction on my own. I could potentially be swayed, but for now I'm just going to try and work on my phone addiction by myself. And so I'm gonna end this week's vlog here. Obviously, my phone addiction has not been broken in just a few days, but I'm gonna continue to work on it and update you guys on my progress and hopefully get to a much better place in the coming weeks. Even in just these few days that I've allowed myself to sit in silence a little bit more and kind of work through the uncomfortableness of the silence, I've noticed a huge improvement and increase in my creativity. I've been coming up with so many more TikTok post ideas for series and different concepts that I want to try, or just topics that I want to talk about. Same goes for my newsletter, and even just like lines that I want to include within a future newsletter. So it's been cool to see that when I do just sit still and let my thoughts come in, that I do come up with a lot of great ideas. I've just been blocking them and preventing them from coming in. So that just shows how important it is to be bored. I really think that that's where your best ideas will thrive. So I will report back once I have more thoughts and reflections to share, and I'll update you guys on my progress. But thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video, and I hope that you enjoyed, and maybe it'll inspire you to put down the phone, turn off the TV show, and just let yourself think and sit in silence a little bit more. See you next week. Bye.